Hello and welcome to this video for
Super Mario Odyssey!
I am frankcubed, and this video is for those players who just want to survive the darker side level. That's it. It's not going to show shortcuts. It's not going to do fancy cap tricks. It's just going to show you the bare bones way to get through the level. So if that's what you want to see, let's get started. The first section is an area with a bunch of Goombas running around. This is probably the most simple section you're going to get. Just walk your way through the Goombas, avoid their running attacks, and don't even worry about the flying hat above. You're going to walk through this thing so fast that none of that stuff's going to even be a problem. Now things are going to ramp up really fast, because now you have to wall jump against a wall and several poles that also sink into the lava when you grab on. So what we're going to do is when you jump onto the pole, just nudge the controller once for every side there is on the cube. So we jump on the far left, we go nudge, now we're at the front, nudge again, now our back is pointing into the direction that we actually want to jump. Now when it's safe and you're ready, jump. And now for the pole swing sequence. Now what we have here is one stationary pole, a safe pole, and then we're going to have to cross over 3 additional poles that are going to sink up and down into the lava, which leads to another safe pole. So now to get to this sequence, just remain stationary and wait. Wait for those 3 series of poles to drop into the lava. Once that happens, start swinging back and forward. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Once you hit the 6th one, go ahead and jump. Even if the poles have not come out yet, they'll be there. They'll catch you. So don't worry about it. Then jump and swing off the poles, one after another. And here we are again on our second safe pole. Now just do the same thing. Just lay stationary and wait for the sinking poles to drop. Once they hit the lava, count the 6 swings again. And then on the 6th one, go ahead and leap. Now in this section, there will be a series of metal hills that roll forward. And these hills are different sizes. They're small, medium, and large. And the safest thing to do is to sit at the ledge, wait for the tallest piece of metal to float by, jump on it, and then gain some momentum, and then jump on the next. We'll do this over and over and over until we come to the hill that will lead us towards our next section, which is a safe platform to the right. And now we move to the section where we have to lava jump as we control a lava fireball. If you get bumped by one of the other flying, jumping lavas, they're going to change your jump trajectory, causing you to miss the hole that's in front of you. So be sure they're cleared out of the way beforehand. Now, here's an example of how much they'll actually nudge you. Notice that when they hit you, you're going to move quite a ways. And there's a very small window of opportunity to actually land in those holes properly. So be sure everything is clear. Now we need to ready ourselves for the first leap. Go ahead and get a little distance between you and the wall. And when things are clear, hold dash, move forward, and jump into the next hole. Now, the trick to this is to get the camera in a kind of a top-down view to get a better sense of the area. And then when you leap, you'll see your shadow going across the stone. As soon as it disappears over the lava pit, go ahead and slightly pull back on your controller to stop forward momentum and let yourself drop. And now we come to another jump, this time with a tumbling spiky thing in your way. Now what you're going to do now is hug the wall closest to you, because this will give you the space you need to get enough momentum to carry you to the next hole. Now hold the dash button and just wait. Wait for the tumbler to pass and clear through the hole, and once that happens, go ahead and leap. Watch your shadow disappear from the stone, stop forward momentum, and drop into the hole. And now we've come to a fork. We can either continue down this path to several lava holes, trying to get through several spiky rollers, or we could go down this path, where if we drop our lava character into that hole, we'll pop out as Mario, smack the tomato so he oozes into a lava pit, which recreates a very clear and safe path for us to traverse. Now with the tomato smashed, take back control of the lava creature, and now jump into the tomato guts. Now once you're in this puddle, don't worry about crossing the boundaries because there's an invisible wall that'll keep you within. So go ahead and grab those rings, you've earned them. Now pull back, line yourself up with the hole that's standing in front of the raised lava platform. And now that you're plopped down into safety, now go ahead and jump onto the lava platform and now into the cannon. From there, you're gonna fire yourself off into the next section. And now we take control of the Stretchy Man. Now what's gonna happen here is that we're gonna use his stretching ability to traverse across a series of blocks that move in and out. You don't have to worry about these enemies when they first come out. They won't harm you. It's on their second burst up after the dust VFX dies where you'll have to worry about damage. Now just use your head to push these platforms up. And now in this section, to save time and effort, we're gonna just jump on to the first block and we're gonna stay and hold there. And from there, we're gonna fully extend to raise the platform up above our head to make it towards our next stationary platform. Now for this next part, to keep yourself completely safe, go ahead and fully extend your legs to their limit, wait for your enemies to pop up, and once this happens, go ahead and release your extension abilities, which will cause you to snap forward and then guide yourself to the next platform beneath the rocks. And now fully extend your legs to bring you and the platform down to the next level and our next section. So what you're gonna do is make your way across these platforms, jump into the freezy, poisony water, and calmly let yourself drop back onto the ground. We're gonna jump on this raised platform and situate yourself right here in this corner. From this safe waiting spot, we're gonna wait for the enemies to get 5 dots within your distance. Once it hits this point, start to walk forward, and then before contact, jump in the air, now toss your hat, and leap for it. Now during this leap, what's gonna happen is that the water is gonna come back down and catch you, and this will cause you to enter into your swim animation. Now use this to swim forward, and then to drop back onto the ground, resetting the poison freeze effect. Now once you exit the water, its damaging effect completely resets without a cooldown period. So don't worry about it when you jump back into the water, because you're safe and your time limit of damage has now been reset. And now in this section, we have to use Yoshi's tongue to stick to the treadmills that are moving up. We'll have to wait for the enemies to hit the most right side of their track. Before they get bounced back to the left, stick your tongue to the treadmill on the right. And now stick your tongue to the treadmill to the left. Now we're just gonna wait here all the way up. It's gonna look like these next series of enemies are gonna hit you, but don't worry, because Yoshi's hitbox and so are the enemy's hitbox are much smaller than what they visually look like. So just stay there and try to remain calm. And now before our head hits the roof, we're gonna jump to the right into our next section. So what we want to do is hit the P button and just wait. Wait for the path to hit the series of blocks in front. And then once that happens, follow the path. Now keep walking across the path at about mid-speed until it hits the laser spiky mine thing. Once this happens, go ahead and go into a full run. Jump atop the series of rocks. And once you get to the third one, make sure that the path is below you and go ahead and drop and continue following. We'll now jump out of Yoshi and get ready for this next section, which involves a lot of wall jumping. Now timing is very important in this section because if you wait too long standing on a metal block, what's going to happen is another metal block is going to pop up and shove you out into the lava. So be aware of that hazard in this section. We'll now jump onto the first metal block that juts out. And we're going to sit and hold, and we're going to wait there until the metal block underneath the series of gold rings pops up. From there we're going to jump, and now wait in the middle. Now wall jump until you reach the clearing to the left. If you ever get confused, the safe spot is always underneath the rings. If you remember this, you have a much higher chance of survival. What's going to happen next is that metal blocks are now going to fill up the path that you use. So speed is really of the essence at this point. To our next section. In this section, we have to glide to the wind tunnels while also dodging the mosquitoes. So take possession of the lizard, slowly walk yourself to the edge of this cliff, line yourself up with the first wind tunnel, jump, and then hold B. If it looks like an enemy might hit you, just press up on the controller just a bit. This will cause you to lose just enough altitude to avoid its attack, while also keeping enough altitude to make you to the next wind tunnel. Being in the wind tunnels are your best opportunity to modify your trajectory and aim yourself towards the next one. So when you're in the wind tunnel, lean back left or back right, depending on which direction you want to go. Now just glide yourself onto the next flingy fork section. We'll now take possession of the fork. Now lean your controller input back. Now position the camera so the rim of your hat lines up with the eyes of the fork character in front of you. When you line these things up, you know for sure your jump will be clear and straight. Now go ahead and fling and release, toss your hat, and possess the next fork. And now we'll do it again. Now this last fork can be a bit tricky. What you want to do before you fling is that the next fork is between the left and the midpoint of its track. If you do this, you'll be within range of a cap toss. Now go ahead and fling yourself forward. Don't worry about the distance, you'll clear it easily if you pull the fling to the max. Now this next section involves a moving platform, a whole mess of fog, a whole mess of enemies, and area mines that you'll want to avoid. Now the enemy behaviors are fairly simple. They'll lock onto your location, and once they find it, they'll jump towards it. But all you gotta do is that when they jump, move away and they'll miss. They don't have a very strong homing ability. So all you gotta worry about is just don't be in the area that you were at before. And that's all you have to do in this section. Just wait in the area, wait for the enemies to lock on to you, and when it gets too crowded and stuffy, just calmly scoot over to the next corner of the platform. Do that over and over. And even if you have to throw your hat, make sure you throw close to the edges, and make sure you don't wiggle the controller so that it doesn't change trajectory and hit that mine. To me, this is probably the hardest section because it is. You have to take control of the bird and use its poking ability to latch yourselves onto these platforms that swing left and right. So what we're going to do is wait in this spot and wait for the closest platform to swing right. When it does this, go ahead and jump in the air and poke your beak into the piece of wood. Now the best thing to do is to poke more on the right side. We'll then need to jump and then attach to the next platform that will be above us. Now the trick to this is that there will be this small window of opportunity where the platforms almost hang and stop in the air while perfectly aligned with each other. When this happens is when you fling yourself up and attach yourself to the next platform. Another important tip is that once you fling up and you're in the air, don't mess with the directional controls, because what's going to happen is that your character is going to start facing the wrong direction, and when you try to utilize your beak, it's going to poke at nothing. Once we fling and attach ourselves to 3 different platforms, we'll now reach our final ascent. What you'll see is a rock wall, along with the wooden paneling that you're used to attaching to. Now don't worry, you don't have to reach all the way up to the wooden paneling to attach yourself for the first time. You could do it against a rock, so don't panic. And now that we're on the long wall, just fling and cling your way up to the top. And here we are into the 2D section. The tricky thing about this part is that because it moves in a bit of a loop, what happens is it's going to mess with your directional input. So as you move along this 2D path, it's important to know that the directional input on your controller will change depending on the direction that Mario is facing. For example, right here, if I press down on the controller, Mario will move down and to the right. If I press left, he will move up on the screen. Or like here, if I press up or to the left, Mario will move up and to the left. If I press down or right, he's going to move down the screen. Now I'll hit the blocks under Donkey Kong so that a path will open up to the Bowser section. And here we are, the last final obstacle section, where we'll take control over Bowser's body. Now, an important thing is, despite what the music tells you, there is no sense of urgency in this section. You can take your time, hit the blocks, dodge the boulders. There's nothing chasing after you, so don't let the music affect you. Now you just move around, break open the blocks, and you can break open the boulders. So there's not really much to worry about. And on top of that, you also get an extra life heart, so you can take a lot of damage throughout this whole area and still survive. And if you still feel like you gotta be really cautious, just know that if you stick close to the walls, that the boulders will just go right over you without giving you any damage. Just move when you're ready. Now jump into this hole where the ring hoops are, and that's it. All that's left of the level is a victory lap, which makes it very hard for you to die. So I don't want to ruin that moment for you because it's pretty cool, it's nice. So there you go. You've now beaten the darker side. Thanks for watching.